fake LA is a figment of the imagination of everyone who doesn't live in California. They're informed by TMZ, they're informed by tabloid press, they're informed by commercials and TV and media. They're informed by all that stuff, all the stuff that we make. So we're the people who are making the stuff for all the other people to think that things are fake. So they're actually the fake people. The people who don't live in California have this complete fake idea running through their head about what's not even real. It's all fabricated. So fuck you, LA's not fake, you're fake. It's time to start sweating. You're watching the Sweaty Nerd Show. I'm Jon Schnepp. Today we are going to cover the greatest super robot cop movie ever made, a video game where you go from one room to another transdimensionally, and we're going to talk about the king of comics himself, Jack Kirby, and all the amazing legends that he created. You're watching the Sweaty Nerd Show. Sprinkle, 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 go! Hey, welcome to another Sweaty Special Effects Nerds show. I'm Jon Schnepp, and sitting across from me is Cig, prosthetic master, face-off designer, crazy man, Cig Neutron. What's going on?
Go on.
Hey,
Hey.
I'd buy that for $1. 1987 Robocop, that's what we're talking about today. Let's talk about the incredible Robocop suit.
Yeah, so Robotine and his crew, they made it, they actually wanted it, originally they wanted him to move a little bit different, but the suit got so big and like clunky that they slowed his movements down and made it more robotic so it looked better on the screen. They actually made 6 suits. 3 were like battle damaged and 3 were, you know, like perfect suits. So
right.
They need stunt suits and all that. But it was originally supposed to be like a bright blue color, but the metallic gray actually looked better on screen.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it being bright blue. Were they just trying to be like emulate what a cop would wear? Or something?
I guess so, yeah.
He's a robot cop.
Right.
Make him blue. Wrong.
He shoots
Strange,
stars.
like glowy gray. Yeah, right. Anyway, I'm glad they went with what they ended up doing.
Yeah.
Robocop is a great, iconic outfit.
Oh, totally.
Let's talk a little bit about the incredible, amazing gore, the R-rated gore of Robocop.
Totally. I mean, it's just the juiciness of this gore really sells like the brutality of this. Like you really believe that it just like really spins this dark, dystopian future aspect of it. That's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, from Peter Weller getting his hand exploding at the very beginning to the very end when the guy's like, just juice pocket. Yeah. Fantastic film. If you've never seen Robocop, you should have seen it. I don't know what's wrong with you. You should have been like, I saw the TV series. Well, there was a movie before that, and you should be seeing it. I'm Jon Schnepp. Cig, where can people find you?
Twitter and Instagram at Cig Neutron or at bizarrogogo.com.
And thanks for tuning in to another Sweaty Special Effects Nerds. I'll see you guys later.
Fastball that one.
At a certain point in time, you stop giving a fuck. I don't like it. Hey, welcome back to another Sweaty Video Game Nerds. I'm Jon Schnepp, sitting here with Maude Garrett.
And we're going to get our science on.
That's right, time to go into the portal. Portal 1 and 2. I'm talking about 1, she's talking about 2. So I played Portal, the first game. It's a lot of fun. You guys can see it. It's part of the, I think it's called the Orange Pack or Orange Box, that's right. Where you get Half-Life 2, Half-Life, boy, what's the other game?
It sounds like it's all on PC.
No. It's all available on Xbox and PlayStation. You can get it. It's called the Orange Box. I can't remember what the other game is.
I have
called.
heard of this. Yeah.
Yeah, but Portal 2 is available. I'm sorry, Portal 1 is available on that, and that's how I ended up playing it. And it's basically you're in part of this weird scientific experiment, and you're given this gun that kind of opens up dimensional time holes where you open up a hole here and jump into it and then you're falling from the top. So you have to figure out all these different ways to get from one place to another, from one partition to another, and it's very challenging. And then they came up with Portal 2, and what's that?
Portal is exactly the same, basically. You're the human and you're fighting against GLaDOS, who sounds like this when she is talking to you. And she mocks you. She's like one of the best kind of bosses and evil people because she's constantly watching and putting you down and reminding you that you are only human and you're expendable, but it's up to you to try and get to her and, in a way, destroy her. What I love about this is that it's problem solving that's actually really fun. I'm not a science person. As soon as I could drop the subjects in high school, I did. But for the first time, I'm using things like velocity and trajectory and doing all these things and figuring out how to get from A to B using this portal gun. Now, you can buy the gun online, and I see so many people dressing up as, you know, doing Portal things at conventions, which is amazing. I actually played Portal 2 multiplayer. Oh, wow. And I felt that that was the more rewarding experience, because I don't know how far I would last if it was just me, because I do this thing where I'm like, I play video games to kind of chill out and to just tune out. So to have to think, I'm like, But doing multiplayer was so fun, because you're bouncing back off with someone else and there's two of you doing all the activities. The worst part was, though, Xbox. For some reason, I did not unlock the achievement to finish the game in multiplayer, and that is 600 gamer points that I missed out on, and I'm not happy about it.
Well, next time when we talk about the gamer points, Maude Garrett, where can people find you complaining about gamer points online?
You can find me on social media, just search at Maude Garrett, or you can check out Geek Bomb, because that's my geeky outlet where I chat about video games a lot.
Well, thanks for tuning in to another Sweaty Video Game Nerds. Next time we'll sweat it out more times with Maude. See you later.
For more sweaty nerd activity, subscribe to theStream.tv. Why haven't you subscribed yet? Hey, welcome back to another episode of Sweaty Sci-Fi Nerds. I'm Jon Schnepp, and sitting across from me is my pal Chris Gore, founder of Film Threat, and he's been on G4 and a bunch of other amazing things. Today we're going to talk about an incredible science fiction film that came out in 2009. It's called Moon, directed by Duncan Jones, starring Sam Rockwell. One of my favorite films. That one and District 9 just killed it in 2009. Chris, what are your thoughts on Moon?
I loved Moon. It's one of those ones that also stays with you. One of those ones where hopefully you haven't seen like some of the big twists that come in the second half of the movie. It's one of those things that just stays with you after, where you want to discuss it, because it brings up issues about life. I think that's the best science fiction to me. It isn't about science fiction so much. It's about how we as humans deal with advances in technology and whatnot. And that does it so well.
And Sam Rockwell it's just like a literal tour de force acting job. You know, he plays himself, and then a little bit later, there's a clone of him on the moon. You'll see if you watch the trailer. I'm not giving any too many spoilers away.
And then there's a great, actually, he has a robot friend. The film voiced by Kevin Spacey. So if you're a House of Cards fan, that's a pretty cool aspect.
Or just a Kevin Spacey fan in general. So.
Right. But it's a real, I like this film too, because a lot of science fiction movies today tend to show you everything. Right? They show you everything that's going on. Why? Because they can. So they try to show you everything. It really, you get this sense of loneliness and isolation, because he's pretty much the only character in the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
You're on a moon base, and most of it's all shot practically, and in fact, most of the special effects are shot with models.
Right.
So they have some CG enhancements, but most of it was shot on a giant, lunar surface that was built with a little tiny model, which is for fans of practical special effects like us. Fantastic to see that. Why do we like practical special effects, Chris?
I think the reason we like practical special effects is because the digital effects aren't able to really trick your mind. There's something about it that's distancing, and when shot well, practical special effects just look better, especially models. And the models they used in this, which they also used in The Dark Knight and other films like Interstellar, they're what they call oversized miniatures, right? So they're huge. Yeah. They're still miniatures, but they're huge, and the way that they're photographed, I feel like there's just something about it where your mind, it just accepts it as real, whereas digital effects look fake. And I think it's also the reason is that cameras, when they do digital effects, tend to move around in ways that don't actually happen in real life, aren't possible in
especially
the real world.
Earlier 3D movies, everything's all rotating around everywhere. Look what we can do because it's 3D, and it's like actually real life, and cameras that emulate real life are like kind of tracking or moving in a more realistic manner.
Yeah, the digital omniscient eye floating through spaceships doesn't really work, whereas just like a model sitting there is all you need. It's really just a setting. We're beyond the point where we're impressed by that stuff. It just actually makes it real world to you.
Yeah, let me say this about Moon as well, without giving away too much of the ending. You feel like, wow, there really could have been a sequel. There could have been a Moon 2. It didn't have to necessarily take place on the moon, but the character that Sam Rockwell plays, you really feel for him, and you're kind of invested in this world that's set up really just on this moon base. You're like, wow, I want to see more of this world that Duncan Jones built. So if Duncan Jones ever gets back into doing sci-fi after he hits Warcraft out of the park, I'd love to see another version of Moon, and maybe even Sam Rockwell returning. So.
But it's great because I think Duncan Jones, I'm always interested in anything that he's going to be doing, because I think he focuses on the right things in sci-fi. I think some science fiction films get bogged down in showing you all this cool stuff.
Sure.
And this movie's not about the cool stuff. It really is, at the end of the day, a human story.
Yeah, it's character-based, story-based. Yeah. All right, well, that'll wrap it up for us. I'm Jon Schnepp, and thanks, Chris. Where can people find you online?
You can find me at chrisgore.com or follow me on Twitter at @thatchrisgore.
That was another episode of Sweaty Sci-Fi Nerds. I'll see you later. Hey, welcome back to Sweaty Comic Book Nerds. I'm Jon Schnepp. Sitting across from me is Comic Book Girl 19. Today we are going to talk about the King, Jack King Kirby, the guy who's created almost every comic book character that you love and hold dear to your heart. He's had a hand in somewhat either drawing it or writing it or creating it. Let's talk about the King for a little while. Comic Book Girl 19, who is your favorite Jack Kirby character?
I have to say, I'm going to go with some of the weirder ones, lesser known ones. I love Big Barda.
Yeah.
And I love Granny Goodness even. That character is so weird. He has so many, his hand not only in a lot of the mainstream characters, but has also created some of the most creative, weirdest, most awesome characters.
Comic Book Girl 19 is referring to some of the characters that he had a hand in creating, basically making them up in the 70s, the New Gods, which was like this whole fourth world saga. Mr. Miracle, his gal, Big Barda, Granny Goodness was in charge of the Apocalypse and the Demon Dogs and all these other crazy, insane world of Darkseid and his bizarro planet Apocalypse. Just an incredible creator of you might have heard of it from Star Wars. It was called The Force. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's Darkseid and The Source.
The Source, yeah.
So we kind of know where George Lucas took a lot of his little ideas from the 70s. This comic book came out basically in 1972, 73 was the run. It ran 11 issues. And now Darkseid is integrated into the entire DC fabric. He's like one of the main villains.
Yeah, he's essentially a DC Thanos type character.
Pretty much, yeah. Before Thanos became a character, they had Darkseid.
Well, then Darkseid to Thanos.
Yeah. Which one came first? Jack Kirby came first. Guess what? He also created Captain America in the 40s. Him and Joe Simon came up with a guy who basically came to represent what America stands for and then basically what the world stands for. It's like, if you're a good person, Captain America is a role model for you.
Yeah, he's also responsible for The Thing, which The Thing is Jack Kirby.
Yes.
That is the most, he put the most of himself in that character in the Fantastic Four, which is adorable.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about where he came from. He came from the streets, came from New York.
Yancey Street.
Oh man, he was a scrapper. He came from the Depression era, so he just worked his ass off. I mean, he's a badass all around. I mean, he defined superhero drawing for generations.
Yeah, I mean, not only when he left Captain America, then he went into the 50s, he did the Fighting American, and then moved into doing a whole bunch of different things. What I hold dear to my heart are all the monster stories that him and Stan Lee did in the 50s and early 60s before they actually launched Marvel Comics and what we know as the Fantastic Four and all the superhero stories that they did in the 60s. They were doing these crazy monster comic books. Every episode there was Groot, there was Bamboo, Son of Bamboo, I'm Mambala, I'm Cromlong.
David Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Or Devil Dinosaur with Moon Boy.
Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy came in the 80s.
Oh,
so that is one of my favorite Jack Kirby weirdo creations. He was just like, he did that at the same time that he was doing Machine Man. He was doing a series based on the 2001 comic book. Basically, it was the 2001, the comic book series that he was writing and drawing. And he came up with this character, Mr. Machine. They liked it so much, they were like, look, take Mr. Machine, let's change it to Machine Man. Here's a brand new comic series. So he launched that one. He's come back and forth he's kind of bounced around from DC to Marvel, DC to Marvel. And every time he bounced from one to the other, he would bring a flurry of ideas. For DC, when he went over there, he did Mr. Miracle, New Gods, Jimmy Olsen, where he actually brought Superman. And Superman, the mythos of Superman is now integrated into Darkseid as one of Superman's new gods. It's this whole family. You know, it's a pretty amazing thing how how much this guy has affected the entire universe.
Yeah, and it's not just superhero comics either. I mean, as you were saying, he's doing the monster comics, he's done war comics, and also romance comics. He's even done a bunch of romance comics with Simon, which is something that a lot of people don't think about, but that's kind of a fun Kirby experience.
Yeah, modern romance comics with Jack Kirby. He also did a ton of westerns. I mean, he's literally done every single genre possible. I mean, he's most known for all of his superhero comic book characters that he created, but when he bounced back to Marvel, he did the Eternals, which was basically kind of him. He was thematically always going with this mythos and creating new gods. Basically, he did the new gods, which kind of replaced the old gods, which were Marvel. Then he bounced back to Marvel and recreated the new gods in the form of the Eternals.
Well, he also is responsible for bringing Thor into the Marvel universe, and that's a god. So, you know, he's very much interested in mythology and these characters.
Yeah. I'd say this about Kirby's Thor. Thor is like Frankenstein. You can make your own Thor comic right now if you want to, but you would never be able to have that kind of Kirby, cosmic, amazing, futuristic, retro combination of what he brought to the mighty Thor and Asgard and Odin and all their crazy armor. That kind of cosmic stuff with Silver Surfer Galactus. The list is endless. When we're talking about Jack Kirby, we'll have a list of comics and books that you can read that Jack Kirby's responsible for. And me and Comic Book Girl 19, we'd love to thank Jack Kirby for everything that he brought to all of the comic book creations. Where can we find you online?
You can find me on YouTube at my channel, Comic Book Girl 19.
Awesome. I'm Jon Schnepp. Thanks again for tuning in to Sweaty Comic Book Nerds. See you later. Hey, thanks for watching the show. If you're interested in any of the things we talked about on today's episode, just follow the links and you can get some of them. If you like Jack Kirby and you want to check out some of the amazing comic books that are available right here, just click on this link, open your mind to the king of comics. Right up here, we got Portal, jump from room to room, play this amazing game. And right over here, Robocop. Who has not seen Robocop? You should own this, or at least rent it if you've never seen the original Robocop. Paul Verhoeven, Peter Weller, right there, click on that link. Jack Kirby, Portal, Robocop, go. I'll see you next time on the next Sweaty Nerd Show.